Welcome back to the ghost towns of the Goldfields. If you tuned into the last episode, we explored the fascinating towns of Overlander and Kookynie. But this week we continue our journey deeper into the Goldfields in search of more ghost towns. Alright, good morning Dave. How good's this campsite?
Mate, beautiful Niagara Dam. Didn't know it was here, but it's a great stopover for anyone who's travelling through this area.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's nice and flat. Now today we're cracking on to our third ghost town. What's this one called?
It's called Kukani or Kookynie. I'm not sure. We're going to ask the locals when we get there.
Yeah, I think so. We got it wrong yesterday.
Let's have a coffee and then go over and check it out.
Sounds good. All right, let's go. Niagara Dam was built in 1898 during the gold rush in order to provide water for the railway between Menzies and Kookynie. However, after its arduous construction, the dam was deemed obsolete as plentiful groundwater had been discovered in nearby Kukani, and that's where we're off to next. The town of Kukani was established in 1899, with its main employer being the Cosmopolitan Line. The town grew at an impressive rate on the back of the gold rush, and by 1907, the town had a population of over 3,500, a public swimming pool, 11 hotels, a brewery, and received trains from Kookynie 4 times a day. So this apparently was the old mine manager's place.
Yeah, well, it looks pretty eerie now, mate. Look at the tall ceilings.
There is there's something about a place like this, isn't there? It is.
Yeah, it is. It's got 1,000 stories to tell.
Yeah. But then again, it is a ghost town, Dave.
You're dead right, mate. I reckon there might be a few hanging around.
While exploring the town site, we were lucky enough to meet Paul Shippard, the current caretaker of the Cosmopolitan Line. So Paul, how long have you been living in this area?
About 9 years, yeah.
Well, and your role here is caretaker?
Only for the last year or so, yeah.
Okay, and look, gold is obviously the big draw card that brings everyone searching their millions here.
Yep.
You mine yourself as well?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I've got a few leases around Kukini.
Where are you going to be taking us now?
Well, the old Cosmopolitan Mine, which was a decline mine shaft, and it was very big, and the town was, I think there was 5,000 people lived here when it was, like in the early days.
Well, hey.
And a lot of them worked underground.
Oh, fantastic.
Very
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Paul, this is the entrance to the old Cosmopolitan Line. What can you tell us about this one?
It started off in the 1900s, and then the company bought it, and then they sunk this shaft, and went down about a mile down.
A mile down?
Yeah, pretty deep.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people in the town that worked here.
The first thing I noticed is this big water pipe.
That would have been the pipe to pump the water out. They had to keep pumping it out because it was just kept on coming in, dewatering. Yeah.
Now, how long do you think it would have taken once they switched the pumps off and closed the mine for it to fill?
Oh, it would have only been days. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it would have happened pretty quick.
So what was it like back in the day, and how did it get started out here with the gold mine?
The explorers, they just walked out here, and sometimes they just walked up to the reefs that were sticking out of the ground. They could see the gold in it, and out in the bush they'd come across alluvial spots, and there would be nuggets just sitting on the ground. So they'd walk around with a bucket and just start filling the bucket up. So it was pretty plentiful back then. But then it gets less and less, of course, over the years.
Is there a maximum depth in which you're not going to find gold anymore, do you think, or is it just there's gold all the way under here somewhere?
Pretty much, yeah. But alluvial's sort of only in the first metre or so.
Right, okay.
Sometimes a bit deeper.
Yeah. How deep do you go with your own mine?
To about 30 metres.
Wow, okay. So it's still relatively deep then.
Yeah, but that's still above the water table.
And you were saying before that you're pulling somewhere between 5 and 10 ounces a month?
On a good one, yeah.
I bet there's nothing like the feeling of
Oh.
of finding a decent amount, you know.
Yeah, it's in the doing.
Yeah.
It's in the journey.
Well,
Yeah, more than the money.
yeah, of course.
It's a
Wow.
lifestyle.
It's like fishing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. That's why I like fishing.
Yeah, same. I love it.
Gold fishing.
That's fantastic. Paul and his wife Maida live in one of the original mine cottages right here in Kookynie. So what's happening in the background here, Paul and Dave are going over the map because Paul's putting us on to a whole heap of new ghost towns. Now, I'm sniffing out a bit of an adventure here. This is the information that only the locals know about. You can't beat that country hospitality. This is what adventure's all about. Plans changing at the drop of a hat.
Tony, Paul's setting us on the hunt for a couple more ghost towns, Mount Morgan and Birdsville.
We're on the hunt again. We're going further out east.
Fantastic. If they're anything like the last one, I can't wait. We're off to our next destination, Mount Morgan. The Malcolm to Laverton train line was the last of the major extensions of the rail network created during the gold boom era. It opened in 1905 and completed in just 6 months, which is incredible considering that was all done by hand. It connected Laverton to the other major mining centres of the region. Today, all that can be seen is concrete bridge pylons and rotting timber sleepers. It's not often you see this goldfield country as green as it is. Paul said that recent downfall was the most he'd seen in over 6 years, and I tell you what, the tracks are muddy. How good's this? There we go. Hold on! Do you what, Dave? There's lots of water around, mate.
Yeah, it's getting softer and softer. Hang on, there's one.
Coming up right now, mate. Let's go through this one.
Holy dooly! Well, welcome to Mount Morgan. Now 120 years ago there was almost 1,200 people living here. They even had 6 hotels, but this is all that remains, the Municipal Centre. So let's go inside and have a look. Established in 1896, the once booming town of Mount Morgan had over 500 buildings. But by 1937, the town was in deep decline. It was fascinating to look over the old relics of a time long gone. It was certainly a different way of living back then. When you're driving through these areas, it's important just to take a lot of care because, I mean, these are historical ruins and reminders of our gold mining past. Before we make camp, the boys were put to work collecting firewood and Karen's whipping up a roast in the camp oven. Well, the sun's up and it's time to get out of the warm swag and put the billy on. What a stunning morning. Okay team, we're back on the road and not far from our final destination, Birdsville. But first, we pass through the town of Laverton. Okay Dave, we're at Birdsville and there doesn't look like there's much of the town left, but what we have found is this awesome quartz reef that runs north to south here.
Yep, with tons of relics around. There's been people prospecting here for years, mate.
And you know what, while we're not prospecting for gold today, I think we have struck gold with our scones. Thanks very much for joining us on this adventure and I can't wait to see you on the next one.